Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about the mindset of sim racing. Now this might seem like a bit of a strange subject when it comes to racing cars, but it's probably one of the most important subjects to have a great experience in sim racing and to protect yourself and to protect others and your competition and your mind during online racing. So we're going to go over probably 5 of the most important things when you talk about the mindset of sim racing. Let's go. So number 1 is checking yourself. That's right, you. Because at the end of the day, sim racing is about you, and it's about you having a good time and enjoying yourself, being competitive, but also being in the right mindset to get started. And when I say get started, what I found that works best for me is that when I go to sit down and have my first race, I really think about, am I in a half decent mood for this? Am I calm? Can I relax? Sometimes if you've had a bad day, if you had a bad day at work, if you're having relationship issues, if you're frustrated, maybe upset, maybe pissed off, and you roll into a sim racing race, you've already lost before you even start. So I think to myself first, am I really in a healthy mindset to sit down and race? Because sometimes you're better off choosing a different game. Like if you want to jump into a competitive sim racing race with any of these emotions that are negative, you're better off getting out of iRacing, getting out of ACC, AMS2, whatever it may be, get out of that and go and do some Wreckfest. Go and do some Forza Horizon, go and do some BeamNG, go and smash cars around. Take your frustrations out that way, because you're not wrecking anyone else's race, you're not harming anyone else, and you're going to get the same release as what you would without wrecking anyone else's day. So it's really, really important to check yourself, your feelings, your emotions, and go from there before you even choose the sim that you're going for. Because sometimes if I don't want to race, sometimes I think about am I willing to sit here for an hour and race, 2 hours, 3 hours, or do I just want to play for 10 minutes? And if I choose 10 minutes, I'll go and do something that's not a competitive sim, because competitive sims take time, energy, effort, concentration. So this game's more specific for maybe what you want to do. So have a think about that before you start. Number 2 is understand your abilities. So you need to understand what you're capable of in the race itself. Because if you're jumping into a race where you don't know the track very well, if you don't know the car you're in very well, you've really got to jump out of that race. Do not even attempt it, and go and practice. Practice. Because I'm guilty of this, and I've done this so many times, is I just think, I'll be okay. I'll jump in and just take it easy. But when I get into a race, I always want to just be competitive. I don't want to force myself on anyone. I want to take my time. But then sometimes that causes accidents because you're on the brakes too early. You don't know the track very well. You're taking the wrong lines and you're causing accidents. So understand your ability before you get into the race. That is very important. And turn your ego off. Don't think that you can just race on any track you like and you'll just be fine. Don't do that, because you'll probably cause more accidents than you know. And that causes frustration for everybody. And you don't want that. So take your time, practice, learn, and go from there. Number 3, cold tires, less grip, start slower. Now I feel this is why the majority of T1 accidents happen. It's not stupidity. It's not people trying to pile into everyone at T1. What it is cold tires, less grip. You got to understand that on the first lap of the race, you've got to take it easy and get around the track successfully, because you need warmth in your tires. All good sims have tires and degradation and warming and everything for your tires. You're on cold tires, you're diving into T1 with frozen tires. You got to remember this. So think to yourself, get around the first couple corners successfully. Don't clean up anyone. don't go too hard into T1. You've got no grip. Take your time. You're dealing with physics. Okay, most of the time you're not dealing with bad drivers. You're just dealing with people who just don't understand that this is physics, and you've got to take your time. And I think it's even harder because you've just come off a qualifying lap where you've been warm tyres, flat out, and you're in that mindset of, I can do this track at this time during the race straight away, but you can't. You can't. Even though we jump from qualifying straight to race, the tyres are new. They're cold. So take your time. The way I like to think about it is I think about dropping down to about 3/4 pace for the first lap, or sometimes the first half of the lap, just to get me around the first the first couple of corners, and I really think about just taking it easy and getting around those first corners, and if I have to dodge accidents, but be really switched on about what's happening to get through T1. My cat just absolutely flew across the screen. I don't know if you saw that, but that scared the shit out of me. Hang on. Okay, so number 4. This is observe the conditions and observe your competition. Look, when you're out on the track, you got to think about driving for everyone else, not yourself. You're just one part of a 16-person race. Okay? At the end of the day, you need to get to the finish line. You need to. And you also need to respect the people you're racing against so they can do the same. Okay? The goal is to get the car home in one piece. Because if you were really driving in real life and you had real money on the line, like sponsors and people do in real life, you can't afford to smash cars up. Everyone deserves to get to the finish line. So you got to remember that. Turn your ego off. It's like, if I have to give people space, if I have to back off to let people go through, do that. You have to. That's what real racing is about. There is sportsmanship involved, and it's not all about you. So remember that. My mother always told me, when you're out driving in the real world, you've got to remember you've got to drive for everyone else, and you've got to drive to the conditions. So remember that. The same is true in sim racing. Because if it's pouring down rain outside, you're not going to go flat out into T1 in the rain, or anywhere around the track. You're not going to take the same lines. You've got to really be strategic and think about other races and yourself, but most of all other races. And I'll explain why. Because how do you drive for everyone else? That's a good question. When you're out on track, you have a crowd of people around you. You need to observe what's going on to the best of your ability. And this is why I kind of say VR triple screens is what you need to have to be as safe as possible, or a good radar on single screen, because you need to understand what's happening around you to the best of your ability. And it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to see everything that's happening around you, but you need to understand what's going on around you. Because when you're on the track and say you're halfway through a race and you're coming up on other races, right? You need to be able to observe them and watch the way that they're driving, right? You need to be able to understand that. Are they late braking, early braking? Are they erratic when they get under pressure? You know, you've got to really drive for everyone else. It's not just catch up to them and then just fly past them or fly into them just whenever I feel like it. You really need to be strategic and make a safe, consistent pass. You really got to think about this, right? You got to observe patterns. Are they slowing down too much going into this corner? Can I take advantage of that next lap if I see them do the same? Can I get a better run of them out of the corners? Right, whatever it may be, but you got to drive for everyone else, because piling into other people is not good for you, because it creates bad habits and it pisses other people off. I can tell you that much. That's the worst part. And sim racing has generally a very good community. But I see so many Facebook posts about people being frustrated with other people, right? And I know we all have different cultures and we all have different abilities, but that's why you've got to be more switched on of what's going on around you at all times. So it's extremely important. Drive for everyone else, be safe out on the track, make sure everyone gets home in one piece to the best of our ability. You do get the odd people who do not care, they're in bad moods, they jump in an iRacing race and just cause wrecks, okay? And I'm not making any excuses for those people. There's not that many of them, thank God, but if the majority of us can be safe and look after each other out there on the track and be safe and competitive, we'll all love sim racing, and as much as I do already. So we'll love it. Another thing that most people don't think about, this is number 5. Sim racing, it's really close to reality, but we have 5 things which are quite similar to real life that we need to think about during every single race, before every race, just to understand what we're looking at. We have mechanical issues. We have a PC that's running, there's mechanical things that are working in there, things happen, blue screens, shutdowns, freezes, cars can go straight at you accidentally, not deliberately, things can happen, wheelbases can turn off, anything can happen, pedals can get stuck, you name it, there's mechanical issues. The same as real life, there's mechanical issues. There's software issues. You can have software issues in real life, we can have software issues. Exactly the same on PC. Human issues. Problems. Exactly like that. Internet issues. Sometimes your internet can drop out. That happens a lot. Sometimes you get laggy. Strange things happen on screen, which can cause accidents. Remember that. That's life. As good as sim racing is, and the majority of the time our technology is amazing these days, it's ridiculous, and it's quite consistent, but you can still have these problems. Suck it up. That's life. Much we can do about that. And the last one, it's like we spoke about in the number 1 subject today, emotional issues. Right? We're all very different people. We all have different backgrounds, different experiences in life. But if we abide by the first rule of today, which was think about your emotions and whether you're willing to race and be safe and keep yourself emotionally stable, we have emotional issues as well. So just remember that, and that's no excuse. Everyone should be able to control themselves emotionally, but as we see in this life, it's not always the case. So number 6, and the very end, the mindset you need to understand and enjoy sim racing. You need to understand that not every race is going to go to plan. It's not always going to go like you wish. You're not always going to be able to race wheel to wheel all the time. Okay, there's going to be problems and issues and things that appear that do not go in your favor sometimes. Sometimes you can't avoid accidents. My cat's going crazy. Sometimes you can't avoid accidents. These things happen, Someone spins out in front of you accidentally. They go in too hot. They spin out and take you out. That is life. Life's not fair. Racing's not fair sometimes. Happens in real life all the time. This is racing. That's what you signed up for. Okay? Sometimes we cause the accidents. Sometimes it's our fault. It's my fault. I've created accidents before and I felt so bad. I've apologized. Being a rookie, you understand that sometimes you are a rookie and you may still be a rookie. You're going to make mistakes. Own up to them. Observe what you did wrong. And don't do it again. It's pretty much what it comes down to. But you just got to remember that, yes, there's ups and downs, like in real life with sim racing. That's just what it is. But just be thankful that if you do stack the car, if you write the thing off and put it into the wall, you don't have to pay for it with your own money. And that's a good thing and a bad thing of sim racing. But if your mindset's correct, if you follow these 5 steps, hopefully this will help you understand that you got to be safe out there on the track. for everyone's sake, for everyone's enjoyment, because we are a community of sim racers. We're not just out there for ourselves and for our egos and for our I rating or our ACC rating or whatever it may be. You know, everyone's got to get home successfully. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you. I hope it helps the community of sim racers. And like and subscribe if you wish, and I'll talk to you in the next video. So peace out.